Welcome, everyone, to the awards portion of this evening. I am Marilyn Geller. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Celiac Disease Foundation, and I thank you for joining us to honor this year's awardees in the medical and research community. The Celiac Disease Foundation is committed to driving diagnosis, treatments, and a cure for celiac disease, and funding research is critical to fulfilling this mission. Offering international research prizes and awards promotes breakthrough scientific and clinical research, so one day we can live in a world free of celiac disease. Before we go to tonight's awards, I'd like to recognize the sponsors whose partnership have made tonight possible. Thank you to Enochion, Takeda, Pfizer, and Immunodiagnostic for sponsoring our prizes and awards. And thank you to our reception sponsor, Shar. Tonight, we highlight 5 talented medical and research professionals for their contributions to celiac disease research. And we honor a distinguished member of the U.S. House of Representatives for her dedicated, longstanding, and diligent service on behalf of our community. Since 2022, the Celiac Disease Foundation has awarded 3 annual global prizes to recognize exceptional investigators. This year, we expand our recognitions with the inaugural Celiac Disease Policy Leadership Award to honor significant contributions to our advocacy efforts, along with an early career and student research award to inspire a new generation of celiac disease researchers. It is my distinct pleasure to begin with our Celiac Disease Policy Leadership Award. We are beyond delighted to honor U.S. Representative Betty McCollum of Minnesota's 4th Congressional District with this award. While Representative McCollum regrets she cannot join us this evening due to her travel schedule, we will be presenting her award in person later this week. There are occasions where thank you feels like an inadequate expression, and this is really one of them. Until just a few short years ago, celiac disease was largely ignored by our federal government. There was little funding for research or to raise awareness of this life-altering diagnosis and its serious associated health conditions, and minimal, if any, effort to understand the impact of this lack of attention has on patients, caregivers, our healthcare system, our workforce, and the list goes on. While we had been hard at work with our advocates to elevate patient stories, to raise awareness, to ask for resources, we really needed a champion. And as our great good fortune would have it, in stepped Representative McCollum with the willingness to address all of these issues. She has proven herself to be a true ally at every turn, from creating and chairing the bipartisan Congressional Celiac Disease Caucus, which was started to support federal funding of celiac disease research, to also supporting the advancement of legislation that will ease the suffering of celiac disease patients. Representative McCollum has just demonstrated a powerful, inspiring commitment to our collective mission to accelerate diagnosis, treatments, and a cure for celiac disease. Her work is truly remarkable. And on behalf of the Celiac Disease Foundation and the patient community we are proud to represent, we extend our deepest gratitude with our Celiac Disease Policy Leadership Award. It says pause for applause. Next, we will award the inaugural Celiac Disease Foundation Jocelyn Sylvester Rising Villas Student Research Award. When Dr. Sylvester received our first Young Investigator Prize in 2022, she graciously donated the funds back to establish the Rising Villas Award to continue recognizing up-and-coming researchers. The recipient, Leslie Saba, is currently a 3rd-year resident at the Department of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine at the Mayo Clinic Residency Program. She's interested in pursuing an academic career and research related to pediatric autoimmune disorders. Her research goal is to evaluate the current practice at Mayo Clinic in screening, management, and follow-up for pediatric patients with both celiac disease and type 1 diabetes. While Dr. Saba could not be here today, we congratulate her on her commitment to raising awareness of celiac disease. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Nelson. Please welcome Dr. Nelson Schenker, Global Medical Lead from Takeda Pharmaceuticals, to the stage to present the first Celiac Disease Foundation Takeda Early Career Research Award.
Thanks, Marilyn. On behalf of Takeda, and I see many colleagues here, this is not just me, I'm very proud to partner. This is just one of many partnerships we have with the Celiac Disease Foundation. And this is special. It's an early career research award. I know that there are a number of qualified proposals. It was not an easy decision from a committee established by the Celiac Disease Foundation. And I'm happy to announce the winner of this first edition of this award is Dr. Essen Safik. I have her bio here. I will need to read. It's an impressive bio. So Dr. Essen Safik, she graduated from Yale in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. She then completed her PhD in immunology at Harvard. The prodigal son or the prodigal daughter returns. So she returned to Yale to proceed with her as a postdoctoral fellow at Yale. And now she is working at Dr. Richard Flavel's lab on a humanized mice model, DQ2 mice model, to better understand celiac disease, which is the topic of this award. So congratulations, Dr. Safik, and please tell us a bit more about your project.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here today. So I'll tell you about something that you probably don't think about every day, but I do. And we're trying to model celiac disease in a humanized mouse. And when I say humanized mouse, it's a mouse with a human immune system. So small intestine is tasked with a very important but very difficult job, which is to absorb nutrients while being continuously challenged with antigens. And this is accomplished by the epithelium and has a special structure which maximizes this, and it's enabled by the immune system. In celiac disease, unfortunately, this beautiful villus structure that you see is lost, and it leads to villus blunting. We know the antigen, everyone in this room knows it, it's gluten. We know it leads to mucosal inflammation, and we have an idea which cells drive it, but we don't really understand the exact cascade of events that start with gluten uptake to mucosal inflammation and villus atrophy. So as basic scientists, we rely on mouse models, and there have been tremendous work done already trying to understand this, but most of these models lack the human component, and that's what we're hoping to introduce. And we're hoping to introduce by modeling the immune system of a celiac disease patient in mice. So in our lab, we use humanized mice, which have a human immune system, and this is generated by transplanting human hematopoietic stem and progenitor cells into mouse. And these cells over time give to a comprehensive immune system comprising of all these cell types that you see here. In the Flavel lab, we re-engineered the mouse to provide human factors that are necessary for all these human immune cells to develop. And the human factors we provided gave the acronym Mr. G6. So these factors are mostly cytokines, human cytokines, allow development of monocytes, macrophages. They allow development of neutrophils, which we haven't really published yet, so please be on the lookout for those. And they improve the hematopoiesis in a way that we can transplant any type of human tissue. So we will be building on this model and developing a new celiac disease model. We'll take into key cellular and molecular pathways that are implicated in celiac disease. We will focus on humanizing cytokines and cytokine pathways such as IL-15 and interferon gamma. But more importantly, we will focus on humanizing the genetic predisposition that is seen in patients. And we will transplant these mice with human tissues that we've isolated from donors that are susceptible to celiac disease, with the hopes of creating an immune system that is prone to develop celiac disease when challenged with gluten. We will take the human disease as a roadmap. We will corroborate our findings with patient histology. We're generating an extensive single-cell RNA sequencing transcriptome of celiac disease patients. We're coupling it with a very new technology known as spatial transcriptomics, where we can study cell-to-cell interactions. We will study it in human biopsies, but we will also corroborate these findings and try to gain a better understanding of how celiac disease develops in response to gluten. The collaboration aspect has been a theme throughout today. So we are collaborating extensively with world-renowned immunologists at Yale, but also clinical immunologists and celiac disease doctors, such as Rob Anderson, who's sitting right here today. Maria Robert is guiding all our work on the pathology side of things. And we have great immunologists at Yale that are working with us. In addition, we have also collaborating with systems biologists trying to better understand our data. And mostly and most importantly, Dr. Richard Flaval who's my mentor, is very interested in developing this mouse model with me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So at this time, I would like to call Dr. Maureen Leonard to the stage. And I did not get a chance because I did not see her. Dr. Sylvester, could you rise and be recognized for your Rising Villas Award?
All right, good evening. So I'm honored to introduce Marisa Stahl as the recipient of the Young Investigator Prize in Clinical Science. Dr. Stahl is an assistant professor of pediatrics at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, director of research for the Colorado Center for Celiac Disease at Children's Hospital Colorado, and co-investigator of the Autoimmunity Screening for Kids ASK study and the Human Trisomy Project. She's a member of the Celiac Disease Committee and the Environmental Determinants of Diabetes in the Young, or the TEDdy study. And she's secretary, as you heard, of the Society for the Study of Celiac Disease. So her research is dedicated to understanding the genetic underpinnings of celiac disease and developing effective screening strategies for individuals with Down syndrome. Dr. Stahl's research strives to advance knowledge toward future celiac disease screening policies, earlier detection of celiac disease, and personalized screening and preventative strategies for pediatric celiac disease. On top of all of these incredible achievements, I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Stahl, and I can confirm that in addition to being a very accomplished investigator and physician, she's also a thoughtful, insightful colleague, a dream collaborator, and an all-around fabulous human. So congratulations, Dr. Stahl.
I just want to start out by thanking the Celiac Disease Foundation for this tremendous honor and beautiful award, and apologize that I cannot be there with you all in person today for the award reception. I know that my speech is standing between the attendees and the margarita bar, so I would be this is so meaningful to me. A little more about my family, as this is a big part of how I got to where I am today. Two big role models to me growing up were my grandma and grandpa. My grandmother had a master's in early life education and was a kindergarten teacher. She was a fierce advocate for children and women and was president of the League of Women Voters. She showed me how women could excel professionally in a time in which that was much more difficult. My grandfather died of colon cancer when I was in 5th grade, and after this, I entertained the idea of medicine as a career as I had looked up to the physicians and nurses who helped care for him. From this, when I left for college, I was interested in becoming a pediatrician, but this was not truly solidified until As an undergraduate in Virginia, I got to work for a summer at Camp Holiday Trails, a sleepaway camp for children with special medical needs. This was absolutely transformative to see how medicine could help markedly improve the lives of children. Now I get the privilege of volunteering at a similar serious fun camp in Colorado around the River Ranch for celiac family camp weekend, and it continues to remind me how what we do as healthcare providers and researchers really matters to our patients and their families. But the real reason why I'm here today is an ode to my mentors, both past and present. In medical school at Northwestern, I had the opportunity to work in Dr. Walter House's lab, where I learned how basic research, in this case enzymonic headshot signaling for lymphoma, could help us understand important chemical questions that could eventually change how disease is treated. I knew after this experience that I wanted research to be a part of my career, but bench research was not my passion. During residency, I was fortunate enough to work with two amazing mentors, Dr. Gulati and Dr. Kappelman, who showed me specifically how impactful translational and clinical research could be for pediatric IBD. I wanted to be clinical translational researchers, just like them, and like many trainees entering their GI fellowship, thought I would dedicate my career to IBD like they did. In fellowship, I started to work with my current mentor, Dr. Ed Liu. He introduced me to the TEDdy, DAVY, and ASK studies, and after working with him on celiac disease prospective screening studies, I could not imagine doing anything else. And this is ultimately how I ended up on this path to a career as a celiac disease clinician scientist. Don't let Dr. Liu's professional headshot fool you. Continues to make research. And as you can see from the feature 2-2 picture, he also enjoys camp. I have been very lucky to be able to continue this research with Dr. Liu's junior faculty with the support of the celiac community. In the end of my fellowship in my first year as junior faculty, I was awarded the SSCD Beyond Celiac Early Career Research Award, and recently was able to publish the outcomes from 1-year follow-up of screening identified children at the Colorado Center for Celiac Disease, and this suggests benefit to diagnosis and treatment of pediatric celiac disease through mass screening. In the TEDdy study, I've had the privilege of access to a very rich data set that follows risk factors in celiac disease development in children at known genetic risk over 15 years. We were recently able to publish on the implications of the TEDdy study and other prospective cohort studies, and the idea of disease prevention also remains a goal of our current research agenda. I have also been able to meet other incredible celiac disease researchers who continue to inspire me through the TEDdy study. More recently, in the Human Trisomy project supported by funding from the NIH and Amsterdam, I have been able to look at the differing celiac disease genetic risk profiles of individuals with Down syndrome, for which better understanding could afford improvement in screening and therapeutic strategies for celiac disease. Our center also has more recently developed an interest in minimally invasive diagnostic testing, including transseasonal endoscopy and IL-2 testing in collaboration with Jocelyn Sylvester at Boston Children's with the support of her CDF Young Investigator Award. As Associate Program Director of the GI Fellowship Program, I have had the privilege of now mentoring 2 fellows in celiac disease screening research projects, both of whom presented at DDW last year. This mentoring relationship feels full circle, and I really hope that in the future I can also persuade interested trainees into pursuing celiac disease research as my mentors have done for me. Mentorship was so important to me, and I commend the work of celiac organizations that have been instrumental for introducing trainees to passionate mentors. For any trainees interested in celiac disease, I highly encourage you to pursue this field of research. There are still so many rich research questions that need to be addressed and will have a direct impact on celiac disease clinical care. Lastly, I just want to thank everyone who has helped me get this far. It takes a village, and I'm really lucky to have such a large village supporting my career. I want to thank everyone at the Colorado Center for Celiac Disease and DHI, everyone at the Barbara Davis Center and the ASK study, and everyone at the Celiac Institute and the Human Trisomy Project, the TEDdy Celiac Disease Committee, and of course the Maine family, next to Josh, who lets me see related research conferences, my daughter Mia, who's been screened through the ASK study, and our newest addition, baby Emmett, who will be screened through the ASK study as soon as he's old enough, and of course to all of our research participants. And I just want to end by thanking the CDF Foundation again for this tremendous honor. Hopefully by now you can tell that I'm very passionate about CDF screening, and I am using the prize money to help fund the first annual CDF screening symposium at the University of Colorado in November. For those interested in attending, please keep your eyes peeled for more information to come. I just want to start out with.
Okay, got that. At this time, I would like to bring Dr. Valerie Apody, our 2023 Young Investigator in Basic Science Prize winner, to introduce this year's winner, Dr. Iris Yonkers.
Good evening, everyone. So it's my pleasure to introduce this year Young Investigator Prize in Basic Science, Iris Yonkers. So Dr. Yonkers is an associate professor at the University Medical Center in Groningen, the Netherlands, and she's the program director of the University Biomedical Science Program for master science and master students. She leads the immunogenetics group, which focuses on understanding the genetic and environmental factors contributing to celiac disease. To date, she has identified the response of celiac disease-specific cells to cytokines in diverse states, detected genetic variants involved in these processes, and uncovered patient-specific heterogeneity in celiac disease. Dr. Yonkers has carried out the largest targeted genetic analysis for celiac disease, leading to the prioritization of genes involved in this autoimmune disease. Furthermore, she has identified biomarkers associated with celiac disease using patient-specific cohorts and generating the human celiac intestine-on-chip model to discover disease mechanism and treatments. So Dr. Yonkers serves also as the treasurer of the International Society for the Study of Celiac Disease. So Dr. Yonkers couldn't be with us tonight, and so we're gonna listen to an acknowledgement. So congratulations, Dr. Yonkers.
So, Dr. Yonkers Award, we were not quite able to ship it overseas, but this is the award and it will be presented to her at the ISSCD meeting. Okay. Okay. Just I can just go. It is heavy. Okay, just hit play. You're gonna have to show where play is on the screen for me. Over there.
Prestigious CDF Foundation Young Researcher. I'm very grateful to CDF as well as to the members that are deeply worthy of this prize. Unfortunately, I'm unable to join you there at the CDF SSCD reception, but I'm happy to give a short overview of our work as both variability in the future. Well, many of you think probably that my work is rather fundamental. For me, this is really by far the most applied research that I've ever done. I started out as a PhD student at the Erasmus Medical Center in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, working on experimental incubation, after which I started doing a postdoc at Columbia University in the United States to look at gene regulatory mechanisms by RNA. So after this, I was recruited to go back to the Netherlands to work under mentorship of Sister Ryan at the University Medical Center in Cologne. And here I really started working with celiac disease. And it was a really great opportunity for me because for the first time I was able to apply my fundamental research towards a immune complex disease. From the beginning, my group works at uncovering how genetic and environmental risk factors contribute to disease mechanisms in different cell types to lead to onset of celiac disease. And it was very clear from the beginning that we needed tissues and cell types derived directly from celiac disease patients. So I initiated several collaborations with leading immunologists to look at gene expression and regulatory profiles in specific T cells, as well as intraepithelial lymphocytes and in epithelial lining celiac disease biopsies. Moreover, we set out our own patient-specific cohorts to look at environmental factors such as the microbiome, in which we uncovered that several microbial species that are enriched So on bacterial pathways that are to celiac disease patients, and we are applying single cell genomics technologies to look at the gene expression and regulatory profile of all cells in celiac disease throughout patient biopsies. To understand the impact of these gene expression profile changes as well as the microbiome, we also believe that we need to functionally test our associations in a human-derived model for celiac disease. And in order to do so, we developed protocols and methodologies to extract immune cells as well as the stem cells from celiac disease and controlled biopsies, so that we can co-culture these two cell types together in our lab. To make this model even more physiologically relevant, we've also set up a celiac disease on chip model, in which we can take induced pluripotent stem cells or adult stem cells and make them into celiac organoids to form a physiologically relevant intestinal barrier on a chip that encompasses many of the epithelial cell types that you also find in small intestine. So with these beautiful model systems, we are now conducting experiments to look directly at the environment and genetic impacts on cell types involved in celiac disease using our human celiac disease model. As you may have conceived already from this presentation, our group is highly multidisciplinary, combining genomics techniques as well as cohort studies and optimization and implementation of human sophisticated models for celiac disease and all its complexity. Of course, I'm not an expert in all these things, so I'm really indebted and grateful to all the people that I have the privilege of working with. I especially want to shout out the Sable Wisdom, who is my partner in crime here at the genetics department at the UCG, as well as all the PhD students, postdocs, and technicians that I've had the pleasure to work with in the past and current. Together with you, the celiac disease researcher fields that I'm really proud to be part of, and the International Society of Celiac Disease, I think we can really make a difference in celiac disease research and hopefully work together towards prevention and cure of celiac disease in the future. I thank you for your attention. Hope you enjoy the rest of your reception, and thank you again for viewing. It's an incredible.
So before I bring Dr. Anderson to the stage, our 2023 winner of the Prize for Excellence in Celiac Disease Research, to introduce our 2024 winner, Dr. Ricardo Tronconi, I would like to say that it was an impressive number of nominations for all three prizes that came through. So for all of you who nominated, and to the jurors who I'm not allowed to disclose, but you know who you are, thank you for the work that you did, because it was quite a field to review and to make these decisions. So again, our deepest thanks. And Bob? Christy, sorry, thank you. Excuse me, yes. These prizes would not have been possible without the generosity of our sponsors. And for Enochion for sponsoring, again, the senior prize. Please come to the stage.
Thanks, Marilyn. And on behalf of Enochion, we are excited to be able to continue our support of this research prize. Without the research that is being done in the academic community, us as drug developers wouldn't know where to look or how to look or what stage of disease we should be targeting. So we really believe that supporting this foundational research will help all of us achieve the drug that we all desperately want for this population. So with that, I will welcome to the stage Bob Anderson.
So it's a pleasure really to introduce Ricardo, who I regard as a friend and a respected colleague. So Ricardo has had a long career. My very first ICDS meeting that I ever attended was in Naples in 1999, I think. And that was before you took over as the director of the celiac group. So Ricardo has been around for a long time. And I think just to reiterate what Marilyn was saying, we were looking for people to, as awardees for this prize, who had really made an impact on patient care. And I think the mood was that if you're reaching towards the end of your career, you really look back and you think not about the citations, but whether your work has actually changed clinical care. And in Ricardo's case, he's made a tremendous contribution to several major areas that have evolved. And I think the key one here is the definition and understanding of potential celiac disease. So these are people who have persistent elevations in TG2 serology. Some of them progress to develop overt celiac disease. Others, their serology normalizes. And it's extraordinary, really, because it's a demonstration of what many of the drugs are trying to achieve that we see today. So this is tolerance in real life in children. So my feeling is that if you really want to understand celiac disease, you'll study children, even though I'm an adult GI. So Ricardo, I think, is a real beacon in terms of his quiet, mature leadership, which really stands out, Ricardo. And I personally feel very grateful because you gave me a briefing on how to be the president of the ISSCD. You've led as the co-chair of the Prevent CD initiative in Europe. And we were just talking about the importance of reactivating initiatives to try and prevent celiac disease. So Ricardo, I regard you as a friend and a very respected colleague, and congratulations.
So before you speak, it is our great honor to be able to present you with the 2024 Prize for Excellence in Celiac Disease Research.
Please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob, thank you for your kind words. Receiving this prize for excellence in celiac disease research is a tremendous honor for me. And I'm very grateful to the Celiac Foundation and to the selection committee. This recognition comes at the end of a scientific career entirely spent for the care of celiac patients and for the study of this condition. And being awarded this prize, that gives to me the opportunity to look back on my scholarly life and to thank the many people who had a significant impact on it. Immediately after graduation, I started working with Professor Auricchio, Professor Salvatore Auricchio, who had probably has been the most important person in my scientific life. And he boosted, it's already almost 50 years ago, and he boosted my interest for celiac disease and encouraged me to work also on, to work also on in mucosal immunology. You see here Professor Auricchio, together with other friends, awarded himself of the Warren Prize for Celiac Disease Research. So you know now why, in which environment I started and how many years ago. And I completed, and he encouraged me to do some mucosal immunology. I spent 2 years in the lab of Professor Anne Ferguson in Edinburgh. And also she had a very, there I completed my education as a mucosal immunologist. And also the experience in Scotland left a durable, impact on my scientific life. But what is more striking is that looking back at those years, I can recognize 2 lines of research which have been which represents a common thread on my scientific activity. At that time, I started working on oral tolerance to gliadin in mice. And even more importantly, which perinatal events could influence the immune response to gliadin, also in mice. And many years later, these concepts and this kind of studies were translated into human studies, looking at infants who have a very high risk of developing celiac disease and attempting, unfortunately, unsuccessfully, but attempting to induce tolerance in those infants by giving small amounts of gluten. And you can see in this photo the Prevent CD group, also Bob alluded to, and headed by Luisa Mearin or with myself. And that project has been very important. And I think that part of the merit of this prize goes not only to me, but to this perspective, this work done by pediatricians, and to the fact that writing the natural history of these conditions and try to prevent it are really two top priorities in research. The other line of research that I started in Edinburgh 40 years ago was was a first attempt we did at that time to induce an animal model of celiac disease in mice. And what is more interesting is that we understood, or we envisaged at that time, that the immune response to gliadin was necessary, but not sufficient to cause mucosal damage. And many years later, as Bob was saying before, this kind of concept of the work translated it clinically in the concept of a potential celiac disease. Potential celiac disease is a condition where you have autoantibodies but have no mucosal damage. And we studied very much this because we think that this is an important model to understand the natural history of the disease, to dissect the immune response to gliadin, to understand the mechanism leading to villus atrophy. And I think it was very inspiring for me. Also, the discussion and the planning of work that I did also with Bana Jabri, and to whom I'm very grateful. But there are many other people with whom I share my interest for research. First of all, most of my scientific life and career has been spent within ESPGHAN, the European Society for Pediatric Gastroenterology. And you see in this photograph, some of the members of the special interest group of ESPGHAN on celiac disease. And with them, we did several, we performed several projects. But I want only to quote the important work that I think we did when we wrote again the guidelines for diagnosis on celiac disease, the so-called no biopsy approach. I think that has had a very strong impact, not only on our idea of celiac disease, on our concept of celiac disease, but on the same life of many patients. And I want to thank the patients, the ones I took care of, the ones that are represented by celiac associations, the Italian Celiac Associations, particularly the Association of European Celiac Societies, with whom I worked quite a lot, and I'm still working, and that an growing importance are acquiring also in defining the priorities for our research. Obviously, it is at home that I got the bigger support. This is some of the present collaborators, but there have been so many during the years. and it's impossible to cite all of them, but certainly to them goes the merit of this achievement. And finally, I would not get this accomplishment without the support, the patience, the considerations of my family, Rossella and Alessandra, who are here in the audience, Eduardo, and I dedicate this prize to them. Again, thank you.
Thank you and congratulations again, Dr. Tronconi. And thank you to Christy Grebe and Enochian for making this prize possible, to Takeda for the Early Career Researcher Grant, and to Pfizer and Union Diagnostic for the Young Investigator Prizes. Please join me in another round of applause for all. So this concludes the awards portion of our program. We certainly look forward to next year's program, and the field, like I said, was very, very full this time, and we look forward to even more competition next year. So thank you again for coming. Please enjoy more food and drink, and if our prize winners could come to the stage, let's get some photographs. Thank you.